Fabulous people, welcome to Orvieto. If you plan on traveling to Italy and looking for that perfect day trip from Rome, then this special place in Umbria is definitely for you. Today I'll share with you what to see in Orvieto, what to do in Orvieto, and of course where to eat in Orvieto. So by the end of this video, you will know exactly which places in Orvieto are worth exploring and enjoying. Now, before we begin, please remember to smack that like button. And if you're new to my channel and my vibe and the vibe of this channel resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe. All right, fabulous people, now let's go explore Orvieto. Orvieto, with its long history dating back to the Etruscans, delicious food, and a picture-perfect setting on a cliff in Umbria, is an absolute must-visit if you plan on traveling to Rome or Florence and staying there for a few days. One of the reasons why Orvieto is considered one of the best day trips to take from Rome is because of how easy and convenient it is to get here. All you need to do is to take a direct regional train from Roma Termini to Orvieto, and in about an hour and a half you will find yourself here. And then once you arrive to Orvieto, you will get on a funicular, since the village is located on top of the hill, and then in just a few minutes you will find yourself in Orvieto. Now let's begin our exploration of this adorable hilltop town with an absolute must-see in Orvieto, the Duomo. Considered the symbol of the city and one of the most beautiful cathedrals in entire Italy, Orvieto's Duomo is a true jewel of Romanesque Gothic architecture. Begun in 2090, Duomo de Rieto is known as the Golden Lily of Cathedrals for its golden mosaics that illuminates the unique facade which tells the story of Mary's life, from her birth to the coronation in heaven. The four large piers between the doorways are absolutely extraordinary, depicting scenes from Genesis and the New Testament. Here you can see God creating the animals and then eventually a man. As you enter the cathedral, you will find 12 massive striped columns, each with different capitals. In between are statues of 13 saints that were returned to the cathedral only in 2019. The interior of the Duomo also houses masterpieces of sculptures and paintings. On the sides of the altar, you can admire the statue of San Gabriele Arcangelo that has been recognized as the first Baroque statue in history, and the statue of Madonna that was carved in 1608. The two statues are of great artistic importance and closely related in meaning and message. Guys, there is so much to see on every single corner of this church. I'm honestly overwhelmed by its beauty, but there is one particular corner that I absolutely have to show you. To the right of the main altar, you will find the Chapel of San Brizio, a true jewel of Orvieto's cathedral. Painted by two major Renaissance artists, Beato Angelico and Luca Signorelli, here you will find one of the Renaissance greatest fresco cycles that decorate every inch of the chapel. With brilliant colors and inventive depictions of the Apocalypse and the Last Judgment, San Brizio frescoes are a true masterpiece that you absolutely cannot miss while visiting Duomo di Orvieto. Alright, fabulous people, now let me share with you some practical tips when it comes to visiting Orvieto. As soon as you arrive here, you will have a chance to purchase Carta Unica, which gives you access to all the major sites in Orvieto: museums, underground, cathedrals, churches, etc. Now, is it actually worth purchasing the card? Yes and no. The cost of the card is 25 euros, and if you just plan on spending a day in Orvieto and you do not want to see all the sites, just a few major ones, then it is probably not worth it. It will be cheaper for you to just pay for each site separately. Now, if you do want to see every single site in Orvieto, or you want to come back within that year to discover more of Orvieto, then yes, absolutely, this ticket is worth it. Another thing to consider about Carta Unica is that it will give you that convenience factor, because you will not have to stand in line to purchase tickets for every single site. So it is up to you to purchase it or not. Now, I know you're going to ask me, Anastasia, where do we get Carta Unica? Well, you have two choices, fabulous. Number one is, of course, online. Or once you arrive to Orvieto, you can get it at the info point next to the Pozzo di San Patrizio, which you and I are about to go discover together. The Pozzo di San Patrizio, or St. Patrick's Well, is the second most important attraction in Orvieto. The well was dug in the 16th century to guarantee a supply of water to its citizens all year round. Each ramp has 248 stairs, and as you get further down, be prepared that the light diminishes to the point where it gets quite dark. At the bottom, you will find a small bridge that connects the two staircases. The water in the well comes from a natural spring, and it is so clear that you can easily see the bottom of the well. As you look up, you'll see the perfectly cylindrical well reaching 175 feet above your head. This is definitely an experience worth adding to your list of things to do in Orvieto. Now guys, one site in Orvieto that I was advised absolutely not to skip is Orvieto Underground. And since it is a guided tour and also a very popular one, I was told to call these two phone numbers, which of course I will leave for you, and to reserve it in advance, because there are certain times when you go and do that tour. One of the fascinating and unique things about Orvieto is that you can get underground and discover a completely different side of the city. Walking through the tunnels of Orvieto, you will feel like you're traveling back in time. The fact that this underground city was completely forgotten and then rediscovered by accident is magical in itself. During your tour, you will explore some of the 1,200 man-made caves, tunnels, and wells, each with its own use and purpose. You'll see the remains of an old olive oil mill used in the 17th century, World War II shelters, wine cellars, refrigerators, and much more. One thing that I recommend you, if you're cold-natured like myself, make sure if you decide to do the underground tour, which I definitely recommend, make sure that you bring something long sleeve or a scarf or a cardigan, something to cover yourself, because the temperature here is definitely way lower than upstairs, than outside. Another interesting area of Orvieto Underground is the columbarium, where rows of rectangular holes in the wall, like small windows, were used to breed pigeons that would be a source of food since the Middle Ages. After all the exploring, I couldn't wait to try some typical Umbrian dishes, so I headed straight to Il Maladrino for a quick but abundant lunch. I started off with their specialty of the day, which was arancini with lemon rice and mozzarella. I know, not the most traditional dish for this part of Italy, but it sounded too good to resist. Along with black truffles, porcini mushrooms, and pigeon, wild boar is considered a traditional food of Orvieto, so of course I had to try it. And as expected, it was absolutely delicious. After lunch, I decided to visit the nearby Sant'Andrea Church. Built in the 6th century on the site of the ruins of an Etruscan temple, it's the oldest Christian place of worship in the city. The interior of the church has a basilica plan, with 3 impressive naves separated by monolithic columns dating all the way back to the 2nd century. As you look up, you will see a wooden roof that had to be completely rebuilt after its collapse in the 15th century. Sant'Andrea Church played an important role in the city starting in ancient times, becoming the seat of important ceremonies such as the appointment of Pope Martin IV, as well as several cardinals. Guys, on a sunny day, this church is so beautifully lit up, and there is no one here. As always, I'm the only one here, so if you love exploring churches, if you want to see things that most people don't get to see in Orvieto, this church is definitely worth exploring. Another site in Orvieto that is an absolute must-see is Pozzo della Cava, an archaeological complex rediscovered by chance in the basement of a house after being abandoned for more than 3 centuries. Back underground we go. One quick tip that I have for you is if you plan on traveling to Orvieto during hot months, it might be a good idea for you to mix seeing outdoors and underground. This way, when it gets too hot outside, you can always go underground, continue exploring Orvieto, and then once you get your energy back, you can always go back up. During your visit, you will find the pozzo, or well, and 9 caves filled with just recently discovered archaeological finds under houses and the streets of the most ancient district of an old town. As you explore the 3 levels of caves and tunnels, you will find countless Etruscan, medieval, and Renaissance artifacts, and of course, Pozzo della Cava, the most ancient well in Orvieto. 118 feet deep, it is entirely excavated from the tough rock on which the city of Orvieto was constructed. A truly impressive sight. At the end of your visit, you will find yourself in a charming courtyard surrounded by flowers and greenery. Here you can enjoy a glass of homemade wine or taste some traditional Orvieto dishes. You can also enjoy your meal inside, perhaps sitting at what's called the Table of the Brave, located on a crystal door right above the Etruscan cistern. And of course, your trip to this stunning Italian hilltop town cannot be complete without soaking in magnificent 360-degree panoramic views of Orvieto at the top of Torre del Moro. But first, you will have to work for it. Alright, fabulous people, one thing that you definitely need to know about visiting this particular site in Orvieto is that in order for you to get to the very top, you have to climb 240 steps. Yes, I know it might seem like a lot, but honestly it is nothing comparing to St. Peter's Basilica. And there is an elevator. No, it will not take you to the very top, but close enough. Built in 1200 in the center of the city, Torre del Moro became the symbol of municipal power. 154 feet tall and almost perfectly oriented according to the 4 cardinal points that divide the 4 districts of the city, this is a perfect place to see all across Orvieto and beyond the Umbrian countryside. Without a doubt, this is one of the most memorable things to do in Orvieto and an ideal place to end your perfect day trip in Italy. Now, fabulous people, thank you so much for watching this Italy vlog. And before you go and start packing for your trip to Italy, please remember to smack that like button. And if you're new to my channel and my vibe, and the vibe of this channel resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe. And I truly hope to see you all in my next video.